Hi, welcome to today's STATA module for the Research Support Center with the College of the Family, Home, and Social Sciences at Brigham Young University. Today, this video will walk through two separate forms of bringing different datasets into a single dataset, and then also separating those datasets or reverse engineering the process that we've done before. The first option that we're going to explore for this allows us to add observations to a dataset for variables already defined. We use the append command for this. The second option that we will use today is also the merge option, which allows us to add variables to the same observations or import multiple observations for different variables. To begin, let's open up a new do file by clicking this hotkey here, the new do file editor. Let's go ahead and give today's file a name, and let's call it Exploring Append and Merge Commands in Stata. Then we can go ahead and put some notes for ourselves, leave some space for some notes if we'd like, and go ahead and end that comment there. Let's also start our do file with the common clear all command. That way, if you've been working in Stata previously, once we run this do file, all the macros and previous data will be cleared out of Stata's memory and allowing us to work with a fresh slate. Let's also start by specifying the cd command. The cd command is a change directory. So what we're going to do is I'm going to change my directory to the downloads folder. You can change your directory to wherever you would like to store these files. To do so, simply open up a new Windows Explorer. I'm going to come here to my downloads folder, and then once you've reached the destination where you want to save your files, go ahead and right click on the address bar up here and click copy address. Once you've done that, go ahead and exit that window and in double quotes place that file path. Now once this is done, with today's exercises, like I said, we will first be using the append command, and to do so we need to download a number of data sets from Stata's actual online repository. So to do that, let's go ahead and use the web use command, and we're going to first bring in the California population data set. Let's go ahead and save that, and we're going to just call it cat-pop as well, and go ahead and specify the replace option. That way, as we run this do file over and over again, we can replace or write on top of that data file that was previously in memory. Or, in other words, we can run our do file and not have it have any errors. The second data set that we'll be using today, we'll also use the web use command, and it is called Illinois pop. So IL pop. And then let's specify the clear option to clear out the previous data set. And again, let's save that data set with the replace option. Finally, the last data set that we will use today is the Texas population data set. And again, let's specify the clear option, clearing out the Illinois population data set from Stata, and saving that as Texas population with the replace option. If I can spell, there, almost. There we go. Okay, now that we've written out all these initial commands for ourselves today, let's go ahead and select all of them and click execute or do. And you can see over here in the output window that Stata has gone through and has successfully executed all of those commands. Okay, now that we have all the data sets in our computer or on our local drives, wherever that may be, we can go ahead and start working with the append command. Let's first bring in the California population data set to begin our exercise with that. Now we'll use the append command, specifying using as the syntax requires, and then the data sets that we want to append to our California population, which is Illinois population and Texas population. We're also going to use an option here to generate an ID variable for each unique data set that's brought in. Since these data sets are clearly individual state population data sets, let's go ahead and call that ID variable state today. Since we're going to be bringing that in, let's label that. We can do a label define first, which will create the label that we want. Now, since we've already gone through this and done this for ourselves, we know that 0 will be the California data set. 1 will be the Illinois data set, and 2 will indicate the Texas data set. So once we have that label created with the label define command, we can go ahead and label values. Using the label values command, we are labeling. What are we labeling? We are labeling values. Values of what? The variable state. Using what label? Well, I need to define that label right up here, and let's call this state label. So then I can tell Stata to use that state label that was made above. So let's go ahead and run those lines of code and verify that this has worked. Now we can see here in Stata that yes, this line of code has worked and our labeled values have worked. So if we browse, we can see that we now have 3 data sets. We have our California data set, our Illinois data set, and our Texas data set. We've also created this state variable where 0 is labeled CA, 1 is labeled Illinois, and 2 is labeled Texas. Let's go ahead and go through that process one more time so we can understand exactly what's happening. Let's go through here these first couple commands, these first 4 lines, to investigate each data set individually. If we come down here into the command line and type in BR, which is short for browse, you can see here that the data set really is simply counties in California and their population. If we were to do the same thing for the Illinois and the Texas data sets, you would notice that they too have 2 variables apiece, county and population, and each of them specifying a specific county within that state and the given population for that county. So, as we run the append command and then browse one more time, you can see that the first part of the append command simply brought all of those data sets together and with these 2 variables. Since we specified the generate option, it created our ID variable, which we called state right here. And for the initial data set that was currently in Stata's memory, it put a 0. For the first data set on the list, which was the Illinois population, it identified those observations with a 1. And for the second data set in the list, it identified those observations with a 2 here. Again, in this next step, we created a label, and this step sometimes is tricky for some individuals. By creating a label, it is simply in Stata's memory. It's sort of like telling Stata that you now have new vocabulary. This 0 means California, this 1 means Illinois, this 2 means Texas. And then, once we've created that vocabulary for Stata, we apply it using the label values command. So first we say label, and then we're going to create the label. We're going to name it state label here and give the exact commands and references that it will have. And then we say label values using, for the variable state, using the label state label. Again, if we run those 2 commands, you can see here in our browse window that we now have blue text over that state variable numeric value with California, Illinois, and Texas specified. Again, this is a rubber stamp. It's the numeric values, as you can see, are still present, but we just have this rubber stamp over the top. Okay, now that we have our data set complete, we're going to go through that process in reverse. Oftentimes we receive large data sets with which we only are concerned or care about a subpopulation. So, for example, if we were to receive a data set with all of this information, let's go ahead and save ours first. Let's call this save, and let's call it all states. We can go ahead and run that command, and you can see that Stata has executed it and it has been saved. So let's go ahead and start dissecting this data set by state. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to specify the preserve command, which preserves the current state of Stata, and then if we make changes, we can restore it later. So let's go ahead and say keep if state is exactly equal to 1. Again, the keep command, we have to use 2 equation signs here, 2 equal signs, so that Stata knows that the variable state is exactly equal to 1. So we're telling Stata here that we want to keep all observations for which the state variable is equal to Illinois. We can then save that as Illinois, again specifying the replace option, and then typing in restore. And if we run those commands, you can see that they were executed successfully, no errors in stata here. And if we browse, you can see that we're still with our full data set. So the preserve and the restore, even though we dissected a data set out, have brought back the entire original full state data set that we had before. So let's go ahead and repeat that process for the other two states. So we're going to say keep if state is exactly equal to 0. Then we're going to save that as California, again specifying the replace option, and then restoring that data set, the original data set, which is this all states data set. If we run that, you can see again that it has successfully executed. Now let's go ahead and write the code for the last one. Again, we're going to use the preserve command, and the keep if state is exactly equal to 2. And just for argument's sake, we can show you that spaces don't matter in this command. We can have 0 spaces between state and the equal signs, and a space between the equal signs and the 2, or no spaces. It doesn't matter. Stata recognizes the command exactly how it is, with or without spaces. So we'll save this one as Texas, and then restore our data set one more time. So let's highlight those commands and then click execute here. If you want a shortcut for the execute command, it is simply Control D. So you can use, just like for any cut, you can use Control X, for paste Control V, for copy Control C, as Microsoft has. Stata has their execute command is a Control D, which is kind of nice. Anyways, let's go ahead and look at our data set now. You can see it is the all states data set. But if we were to type into our command line use Illinois, comma clear, you can see that we brought in the Illinois data set, and when we browse, this is exactly that data set that we bifurcated off with our state variable identifying it as Illinois. Okay, now that we have learned how to use the append command, which is used to add additional observations to already present variables in a data set, we're going to work with the merge command. The merge command allows us to add variables to observations in a data set. So for instance, let's think of a case where we had parental data and data on children. Well, that family would have a unique ID, or that let's assume that the family ID is the same for the child and the parent, and we have variables, the questions that were asked to parents and to children. We want to bring them together from two different data sets into one. That would be done with the merge command. So let's give ourselves some space here in our do file, and I'm just going to put a little aesthetic comment here and specify this as the merge command. That way, just as I'm going through this do file later, I can see clearly where the merge command starts, and I can even put up here, we can come up here and do the same thing for the append command. Alright, so let's go ahead and start using the merge command. Just like with the append command, we're going to be using a number of data sets that are from Stata's online repository. So let's go ahead and start by using the web use command. We're going to use auto size. Again, let's specify the clear option to clear out the previous data that's in Stata's memory. Now, after auto size, let's go ahead and save that as auto size. Again, specify the replace option, just so that way we can run this do file again without any errors. Again, let's bring in the second data set, which is auto expense, and save auto expense as well. Alright, once we have all those in, let's go ahead and bring back in auto size. Alright, so again, we've just written out the code. Nothing is run in Stata yet. To run, we need to highlight those commands and click execute, or use the shortcut that I mentioned before, the Control D. As you can see, Stata has brought all of those datasets in, saved them, and now we have the auto size dataset in Stata currently. Let's go ahead and browse that by typing BR in the command window. And you can see here that we have a variable for vehicle make, vehicle weight, and vehicle length. Let's just get used to our data here and look at the auto expense. So I'm going to type in use auto expense, comma clear to bring in that. And again, I'm going to type in BR to browse. And you can see in this data set, our second data set, again we have a variable for vehicle make, we have a variable for vehicle price, and a variable for miles per gallon. So as you can see, we have one common variable here, which was vehicle make, and then two different variables in each data set. So let's go ahead and merge those together. To do so, we will bring in data from our auto size. It's already specified here in our do file. So we can just go ahead and start by using the merge command. So we're going to merge on a 1-to-1, which will be explained later. We're going to merge on a 1-to-1 basis, which simply means that there is a unique value for every observation of our ID variable. And in this case, our ID variable will be the variable make, the one variable that is common to both data sets. And then we're going to specify using, and we're going to tell Stata that we want to use auto expense in that data set. Now, let's go ahead and run those two lines of code. Stata here in the output window, you can see, has given us a table as a result of our merge command. Here we have the not matched, so there was one observation from the master data set, which in our case was auto size, because the master data set is the one that is currently in Stata's memory before you use the merge command. And then the using data set is the data set that follows the using expression. So you can see the using expression here. So the using data set is auto expense. You can see that there were 0 observations that did not match from the using, and we had 5 observations that matched perfectly. So what does that mean? Let's go ahead and browse our data to figure that out. And you can see here is our make variable, our 4 variables that we were used to, and then Stata has created this merge variable to tell us if it matched or if it's from the master only or from a using data set only. And you can see here that on all the variables that on all the observations that have matched, we have full information data. On this observation, it did not match. It was only in the master data set or in our auto size data set. And you can see that for the Plymouth arrow, we only have information on the weight and length. Stata still merged that observation with our other data set, allowing a full data set, but as you can see, we don't have full information on it. Okay, let's go ahead and reverse engineer this process with the merge command. So first, let's save this as all auto. And then again, we can use our preserve. And then we're going to use the keep command again. But this time with the keep command, what we're going to do is instead of specifying a specific value of a variable, what we're going to do is we're going to specify specific variables. So we're going to recreate those data sets that we had before. So we'll go make, and then size or price, and miles per gallon. And then we can save that data set as expense. And again, let's specify the replace option so we can run this do file again. And then we can restore our data set. And let's do the preserve command again as we As we keep only those variables that we want in the size now, which is weight and length, and then we can save that as size. Again, specifying the replace option. Let's go ahead and restore our data again. And if we run all these commands that we just typed into our do file, you can see that we have quite the list, but if we just run them, State is able to execute them all at once, and we have successfully created our size and expense data sets. To verify that they are exactly that, we can bring in our size data set and browse it and see that it is the exact same as our original auto size data set. Well, that is how you combine single level data with additional observations or additional variables from different data sets. Again, the difference between the two commands that we've gone over today: the append command will add observations to already included variables to a data set, and the merge command will add variables to already existent observations. Join us next time for our STATA module on hierarchical merging and appending to see how to do this with 2 or more levels.